News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, you guessed it, pretty warm. 93 with a heat index of 102. Riley County in an extreme heat warning until Friday at 7 o'clock. Not much relief on Saturday either, as we're looking at a high of 97. But for tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 79. Winds gusting as high as 20 miles an hour. Then tomorrow, it's going to be quite a warm one. A high near 100, heat index values again approaching 110. Winds gusting as high as 20 miles out of the south. And on Friday, more of the same, partly sunny, maybe a little bit of cloud coverage throughout the day with a high near 96. We got the game up next right here on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Coming up on September 19th, Tulane makes the return to Bill Snyder Family Stadium. And could we be in store for another legendary uniform game? As of right now, Tulane, boy, that debut of that new uni, they're going to wear it week 2, their first home game, but then they're here week 3. I'm like, guys, feel free to at least wear that helmet. It is a Mardi Gras-inspired uniform, and Tulane just doesn't stop rolling out a sexy wardrobe.
I was going to say those unis are downright sexy. There's no other way to put it. They are some of the best uniforms I think I've ever seen.
And for somebody like me, maybe I like it a little bit more just because I love New Orleans, and there's no other place in this country that has just its own spin on things, its own culture, its own taste. And Tulane just happens to be right there in the heart of New Orleans.
They are fantastic.
I love the helmets that they wear. I think you can actually wear them in the video game, where if you've been to New Orleans, you've noticed, like especially in the French Quarter where Bourbon Street is, there are street signs, but they're in the ground, and they're like blocks with the letters in them, and they have a helmet that is that style. And it's so sick. And the art, I mean, they're works of art. Like, they're like airbrushed helmets. At least they look that way. Very detailed. Even the pants are detailed. You know, the uniforms, of course, are very New Orleans.
And
font, if that makes sense.
All of their uniforms are just fantastic. Like, they've not put one out where I'm like, I don't like that so much. They're all fantastic. The powder blues are amazing. I think the white helmets they wore, I think that was in Manhattan a couple of years ago, fantastic. The green wave where it's just the entire helmet, they're all so good. They're doing it right over there at Tulane.
I mean, it's certainly a key to the game.
Oh, 100%.
September 19th. Of course, they won the last time they were here in town back in the 2022 season, which K-State just happened to win the Big 12 that year, and Tulane that year went on to win the Cotton Bowl over USC. Which leads us to Welcome to the Game. Mitch Fortner and Cole Dutchendorf coming up at 5:10, 20 questions and 20 shows. K-State, do they go 3-0 in non-conference play? We'll break down the Cats' 3 non-conference opponents, maybe even give you a final prediction score. How about that for those first 3 games, which we are now 24 days away from that first contest, where the opener is on the line, where K-State will be facing a team that will be either 1-0 or 0-1, because they're going to already play a game. I'm sure they're going to be 1-0 because it's Mississippi Valley State, and I'm pretty sure that university isn't any good at any of the sports that they play. They're going to play that like 9 days before they come to Manhattan. We're talking about Nichols. And that'll be September 5th. Kicks off at 6. Power Cat game day will be at 2 o'clock. The voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, another training camp update from St. Joseph, Missouri, coming on at about 4:45, 4:50-ish to get that second update. And plus, an official announcement by Manhattan High. We got to bring this up because it has something to do with Patrick Mahomes. We ready to go with
We are.
our special guest. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. AEW Dynamite and Collision tonight from the Pearl in Las Vegas, Nevada. And folks, yes, I know we're 24 days out from K-State football, but we're also less than that. The weekend prior, the Sunday of week 0, it is AEW All In from Wembley Stadium. And, of course, we're gearing up for that. We're just a few weeks out. The TNT Championship on the line. Plus, the number 2 spot for the Casino Gauntlet at All In is up for grabs tonight. I know you're all about that. That's your favorite match
This
with
has
AEW.
been on my calendar for a minute.
I know it has. I know it is. And the first round of the Continental Cup is also going on as well. Well, we are joined by Drew Galloway for 2 weeks in a row. Drew Galloway from KSO Online joining us this week from the great state, the Peach State of Georgia. All right, we need to get the official ruling here. Representing KSO, of course. Mason is not a fan. Haven't heard from DY, but he's a busy guy today. Drew, are we a fan of the Mardi Gras Tulane uniforms?
Honestly, I'm not like all the way in like some, but I also am not a hater like Mason. Like I think that they're good for what they are. They are significantly better, I think, than the ones that they had last year. That were like the Mardi Gras City Connect kind of theme. Because I thought that those were like some of the ugliest uniforms in college football last year, but these ones are fun and it is very Mardi Gras. Like, I will give them that. Like, I think that it is fun for what it is, and, you know, if they want to keep doing something like this, I won't complain. But they aren't great, but they're also not terrible.
See, even being kind of middle of the road, that is a bit of against the grain because it feels like it's overwhelmingly people are in favor of these uniforms. But and I'll be honest with you, when I first looked at them, I was a little questionable myself because it was, very green, even though they're the green wave, right? But we more consider blue now more their color these days. But it was very blue with the yellow font. And I was like, at first I was like, all right, they're not their best, but they're pretty good. But it was the helmet that sold me. The stripe down the pants, like it's how far they go with the detail of the uniforms. I don't think anybody does it like Tulane.
The helmet is awesome, so I will give them that. My only wish, and like I know that it's because Mardi Gras is green and purple, but like their light blue is awesome, and like that would be the only thing that would get this like above where it is for me. But like this is still a solid uniform, like, and I mean, if they want to wear something crazy like this against K-State, like I wouldn't mind. Like I thought that last time that Tulane played K-State, it was one of the best uniform matchups that K-State's had in a long time.
Absolutely. Drew Galloway from KSO is our guest. Hey, we got a press conference yesterday from what felt like was a pretty fatigued and a tired Colin Klein, maybe a little bit of a change to the hours, rolling in at 5 something or other. The boss, the former boss was coming in. So Bill Snyder was actually at practice today. They're practicing on the grass fields this week. It's hot as hell outside, so good luck to them. But let's talk a little press conference. What was what was one of the top takeaways that caught your attention from yesterday's press conference?
I think one of the top things that caught my attention was Jordan Allen and Travis Bates both playing a little bit on the interior of the defensive line. Travis Bates, to me, that's not a super big surprise because I think that kind of going to a 4-man front, playing the 3-tech is probably his bread and butter, and he played a lot of it last year in the Chris Klein and Joe Klanderman defense. Like, I'm not super surprised to hear that, but Jordan Allen caught my eye because there are ways that I think that this makes a lot of sense, and there are some where I really need to see it to fully buy in. Like, I can get down with Jordan Allen being a 3-tech on like a 3rd and 8 and you have Wendell Gregory, and you have Elijah Hill, and you have maybe Kamari Burns, maybe you bring in somebody else to rush at D tackle, and then you have Jordan Allen at the 3 tech, I can get down with that. But if it's like 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, and Jordan Allen is in at a 3 tech, that's kind of where I'm a little bit more hesitant. But that really caught my eye, and it makes me wonder what that really does look like in a game situation.
Yeah, and I think there is multiple ways to think about this and spin it. Maybe the knee jerk is just to think, oh well, calling in and say De'Arion Hicks is murdering right now, or that Austin Ramsey is really showing up and really doing, playing consistent. Like their names weren't even brought up. Like literally Kamari Burns, from what I remember, was the only tackle that was brought up, and then went into Jordan Allen and oh gosh, why am I blanking? Travis Bates. And I agree. I said it yesterday. Travis Bates being mentioned there, not a shocker whatsoever. I kind of thought rather the shoot us like, well, honestly, if Jordan Allen wanted to play as much football as possible and be able to, hopefully he takes a big swing and gets on the field more. Maybe that's how he does get on the field more, because I'm hopeful that Elijah Hill is the guy at defensive end and Jordan would be behind him. Well, maybe that's just how he gets on the field. He's more experienced. I don't know. Again, there's more ways to spin it, but do you see it more as can you say it's a positive or a negative right now?
I don't think that you can necessarily say that it's a positive or a negative, but I think that everybody wanted to hear maybe another defensive tackle and not maybe bringing Jordan Allen into the 3 tech spot also. It would have been nice to hear something about another defensive tackle, but it did catch my eye, though, that Colin Klein is not a man to necessarily give a lot of praise at a press conference, but him saying that Kamari Burns has had a really, really good start to fall camp caught my eye of okay, so Kamari Burns is going to be good. Is there a second person that can at least be okay, that can step in beside him?
What do you think about at offensive line, George Fitzpatrick, maybe not necessarily good to go yet?
That is just really disappointing to hear, because number one, just feel really bad for him because he was supposed to be the starting left tackle last season, still hasn't gotten to the benchmarks yet. It makes me wonder if he's ever going to actually play at K-State, which sucks for him. But then it makes me think in terms of what this team and what this roster looks like. The only other tackle that wasn't John Pastore or Gus Hawkins talked about yesterday was Oliver Miller. And is Oliver Miller going to be the backup for both tackles? And maybe, because he's also practiced a little bit on the interior as well, is he going to be kind of the swing offensive lineman as what used to be called a true freshman, but now is a freshman in the 5-for-5 ruling? So, is he going to be on the field even more than anticipated? Because Mason Voth and I talked about on Monday about what an offensive line rotation can look like, and I said that there is an avenue to where Oliver Miller probably plays a little bit of mop-up duty, or as the third or fourth tackle potentially. But now you start to think he might be out there when the bullets are really flying and it's a close game, which is exciting to think about, but also can be a little bit scary because he is just a freshman.
So does this leave in right now right guard is the big question? Who ends up winning the right guard spot?
Yeah, I think the right tackle has kind of been solidified if George Fitzpatrick can't go. Center, you would anticipate Delvin Morris, but maybe there is a little bit more of a competition there than we anticipate. Right guard, though, is kind of up in the air because I think that there's probably 3 names for one spot even.
Surprised about the love Brandon White got on a couple of questions from yesterday's presser, mentioned with the wide receivers and also some, making some noise in the return game. Yeah,
to me, the Brandon White thing, what stood out more was that Colin Klein, without having to be asked about it brought Brandon White up as a potential returner as well at receiver. That makes me think that he has at least maybe won the punt return job, and maybe will be up in the air for kick return as well. What caught my eye, though, more than the Brandon White compliments, was right after Klein said that he's looking for consistency from pretty much everybody, but especially like in the position battles. When he like just got done saying that, then the next question, or one of the next questions, was about the wide receiver spot. And the one of the words that he used for Isaiah Williams was that he's been really consistent. And that makes me think that Isaiah Williams has really turned a corner and might even get past Brandon White and be that third wide receiver and kind of be interchangeable with White, but maybe is on the field like a little bit more.
I'll just wrap up the press conference discussion just asking you generally, was there any other surprises to you, maybe names that did come up or didn't come up? I mean, to me, there really weren't a whole lot, but were there any others to you?
I would say that what surprised me maybe the most was hearing Jay Harris and Joe Jackson have been practicing at the return spot. It's so much about feel that I'm not like overly surprised that two guys that they're really excited about carrying the ball, like, yeah, let's try them out at returner and see kind of what happens there. But Jay Harris is a guy that I don't know if I would want to tackle after he gets like 15 to 20 yards of momentum going his way. So like I'm interested to see if he wins the job. Like, what does that really look like? Because he's 6'1", 225. That isn't usually the type of returner that K-State has back there. And it's usually more of like a twitchy, fast player like a Brandon White. And just the thought of those two also just standing back in the end zone of, yeah, you can either kick it to the guy that's super fast or the giant guy, it just really intrigues me. And then with Joe Jackson, I think it is strictly about his feel and what he can do with the ball in space. Because last year, the two games that he played really well in, he really got to just kind of be out in space and showcase the vision and showcase the speed that would be needed in a situation like returning. And we talked on our show today about, well, do you want somebody that's going to be a feature on the offense or even the defense being the returner? But then, we talked about that when Colin Klein was at K-State, Tyler Lockett was the returner and played a pretty big role on the offense. Tremaine Thompson was a punt returner and was a big focus in the offense. So it is kind of a delicate balance that you want to play. But I'm really excited about what the return game can be because I think that those are three guys that do so many things that are just unique compared to what K-State has had back there in the past, that it does kind of get you excited. Hopefully, you don't see them returning kicks, though, super often, because that means that the defense is just balling out.
Well, I still have that hope and wish that we get a Brandon Banks 2.0 with Brandon White. There's a lot of similarities there, and there's small guys, wide receivers, but also an option at kick return and punt return, and Brandon Banks just right away was an absolute dog in both of those phases. With that, Drew, we'll take a break real quick. When we come back, of course, this is week 2 of 20 questions and 20 shows. You did it with us last week, so we'll continue on with asking you those same questions. When we come back, you're listening to The Game.
Delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership.
At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
At Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care is right around the corner.
Stormont Vale Health is more than just a hospital. We're an essential part of your community. Our commitment to quality healthcare means investing in the most skilled and talented providers and cutting-edge medical technology. Our investment in your well-being doesn't stop there. We also support various nonprofit programs throughout the communities we serve. Visit stormontvale.org and discover how we can serve you.
Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care, closer to home.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please contact Manhattan Broadcasting Company at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email front desk at 1350kman.com.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Are college football rivalries becoming more about the fans than the players? Well, that's one of the unintended consequences of NIL and the transfer portal. Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood recently described the Ohio State game as just another game. The old rivalries are built on familiarity. You played the same opponent every year, battled the same players for 3 or 4 seasons, and the hatred grew naturally. That's becoming harder and harder to replicate. Take Oklahoma State as an example. The university reportedly has around 50 new transfers this season. Those players didn't spend 3 years hearing about Oklahoma. NIL adds another layer. Some of the players who once chose Michigan or Ohio State just to be part of the rivalry games now may base their decision on the best deal financially. Traditions will still matter, but the players, they keep changing, and you have to wonder how much of that rivalry will still belong to them. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Having 4 kids in 4 years changed everything, especially our perspective on food.
We started paying closer attention to the things that mattered most, especially the food we were putting on our table.
We wanted better, safer, healthier. And when we couldn't find it, we took matters into our own hands. We started Good Ranchers.
We partner with local farms and ranches right here in the U.S., families who have been raising livestock the right way for generations. Hard-working men and women who care deeply about the land, their animals, and the quality of the food they produce.
We're proud to bring their legacy to your table. 100% American beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood.
And then we make it simple. We deliver it straight to your door.
Because we believe in making it easy for families like ours and yours to enjoy meat you can trust. Food that honors the American farmer. Food that brings people together.
Visit GoodRanchers.com and use code RANCH40 to get $40 off your first order. Plus, free meat for an entire...
I'm Cole Betchendorf with a Game Sports update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. A member of the Chiefs' Super Bowl 54 winning roster will be heading home as defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah signed a 1-year deal with Kansas City earlier this week. Ogbah had 32 tackles and 5.5 sacks for the Chiefs in the regular season in 2019 before missing their postseason run due to a torn pectoral. Ogbah then spent 5 seasons in Miami with the Dolphins before heading to the Jaguars last year. If he makes the roster, he'll be a needed depth piece at the defensive end position, where the Chiefs have just 3 players who have seen legitimate playing time in the NFL, one of whom is K-State's Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who missed all of last year with a hamstring injury. The Chiefs play their first of 3 preseason games this Saturday against the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff is at 3, pregame at 2. That'll be right here on News Radio KMAN. And the Royals will try to salvage their series against the Dodgers tonight when they face off in the series finale after dropping each of the first 2 games in the 3-game set by 1 run. That included Los Angeles walking off the Royals last night on a Max Muncy RBI single in the 10th inning after the Royals failed to do anything in the top half of the inning. First pitch tonight is at 9:10. It'll be at 8:30 pregame before a day off tomorrow for KC. That's all right here on News Radio KMAN.
86-year-old Bill Snyder was at practice today to talk to the guys. You know, something that really throws me off about Coach Snyder now, he is rolling without glasses. He doesn't wear his glasses anymore. And he just, I don't know why, it just throws me out. Like, Cole, if you were to not wear your, like, take your glasses off right now, you would look really strange to me because I'm just so used to that being a part of your image. I look strange
to myself without glasses on.
Yeah, you almost seem like a different person.
I've got the tan and everything. The glasses tan.
It's like for whatever reason, like somebody that wears glasses and they take their glasses off, it's like their eyes get smaller. Maybe that is a real thing. I don't know if eyes are.
I think it probably depends on the strength of the prescription.
Could be that too. I don't know a thing about glasses.
Unfortunately, I'm decently well versed thanks to my terrible eyes.
But it's kind of the thing with, is your eyesight terrible?
They're not very good.
Near or far?
Nearsighted.
Okay. All your life?
Since I got glasses in 4th grade. So pretty close to it.
We're back with Drew Galloway from KSO Online. Drew, do you wear contacts?
Yes, I exclusively wear contacts.
I think I would be a glasses guy. I don't wear contacts or glasses, but of course I'll get there someday. I think it makes sense for me to rock glasses. Black frame, I'm sure they'll still be in.
Some aura, man.
Some Nike glasses.
Sure.
Actually, Kurtz wears Nike glasses. I think he pulls them off quite well, but he's a glasses guy. He is one that when he takes his glasses off, boy, does he look goofy. He is one of those goofs that no glasses, put them back on, sir. They're better for you. Okay. So it is 20 questions in 20 shows. The 20th question will be the show prior to our first Wildcat Insider, the 2026 football season and the academic year for Kansas State. So you were on the show last week, so you already got to answer some of these questions, but it's your typical preview questions that everybody kind of goes over in their own way, their own shows, whatever. So you've already answered some of these here, Drew, but we'll start with the last questions that we had last week, and that's talking about breakout players. We're talking about breakout players that are newcomer of the year. These are either true freshmen or transfers. And, I mean, we tallied them up last week when we were doing this, Cole. We had like 25 candidates, and they were obviously mostly transfers. So there's so many, we just broke it down offensively and defensively. Let's start with the offense. And who right now is your guy to be the best newcomer for the Cats trying to score some points?
And this is a good question because on offense, it is so much harder than on defense to really kind of quantify because there are so many other players on defense. But on offense, I'm actually going to go with a guy that statistically might not do a whole lot, but will be a pretty big key for K-State in the offense. And I'm going to go with Tanner Morley. I think that he is a potential NFL draft pick after this next season on the interior at guard. Played really, really well as a redshirt freshman for Colorado State in 2024. Missed a good chunk of this past season. Missed a little bit of the spring, but has really hit the ground running. And I think that he is going to be a big key for K-State to be able to run the ball as effectively as they want on the interior. Big dude, 6'6", 320. I think that he fits into K-State like a glove.
That was, I believe, Cole, that was your
yes,
answer,
it
right?
was. It was Tanner.
Mine's predictable because I'm just itching to bring my famous hashtag out of retirement and bring it back, but I haven't made that decision yet. Brandon White still right now is my boy without the hashtag. Who doesn't love a short football player that runs fast and scores touchdowns or
electric?
And I don't even necessarily think he's going to be the best wide receiver. But if you mix in a little kick and punt return, depending on what is in store for him, there could be fireworks. Defensive newcomer of the year. I already know who your answer is, but you go ahead.
This one's a little bit harder because there are a lot more names on defense, but I think for K-State to reach the ceiling that they want to get to, it has to be Wendell Gregory. He has to be at least a second team all Big 12 performer. I think for K-State to win 8 or 9 games, because he is by talent probably the best player on the defense, and he needs to prove it and do it over 12 games. Last year, a lot of his stats are really inflated because he had 3 sacks in the first game, but he still got to the quarterback quite a bit, but just couldn't finish the deal in conference play a year ago at Oklahoma State. But I think that he kind of has to be the answer.
Yeah, especially on what our expectation is of him, and I'm sure for himself, and I'm sure for, the coaches know exactly how talented he is. One of the first compliments given to not only him but Elijah Hill is that their ability to rush the quarterback is the real deal, and of course that was nice to hear and all that. But you're right when you said, and this is something I brought up last week, that you mentioned that he does get to the quarterback, but he needs to finish the deal. He needs to work on his tackling.
Yes.
I think it's as simple as that. And it's not just on the pass rush. It is against the run. Finishing tackles is one of the key things he needs to work on and get better. He's still a pretty young player. When you're talking about experience, he's a young player. Elijah Hill is also a young player. But I did think at first you were going to bring up Makai Mason of being the potentially the newcomer of the year.
I thought about Makai Mason, but I think that the ceiling gets so much higher if Wendell Gregory is still really causing havoc in the backfield that it makes me think that it has to be him. Because if he's getting to the passer, it probably means that he's getting double teamed later on in the year, and maybe that opens up for Elijah Hill or Travis Bates or Kamari Burns or Jordan Allen. And I think that his value kind of gets skewed a little bit that way. And also if he's getting to the passer, maybe that opens things up to get interceptions for guys like Zayshawn Rich, Donovan McIntosh, Caleb Patterson, and then like Logan Bartley and Adrian Maddox. Like, I think that he is the key to really kind of opening up and making you feel a lot better about the defense. Like we talked on the KSO show a few weeks ago about, Wendell Gregory. If you could sign up for 8 or 9 sacks right now, do you take that, or do you kind of let the dice roll? And Mason Voth and I both agreed that we would take the 8 or 9 sacks, because that means that he's at least causing havoc in probably at worst 3 or 4 games. And that could be enough to win a game if you have a guy that is just wrecking havoc in the backfield.
I originally agreed with you, or with you and Mason. But I'm a bit of a gambler. I think I might roll the dice on Wendell.
It is a really fun and interesting question.
That is a good one, yeah.
When we both agreed, I actually had to make it a little bit harder and said, like, what if it's 9 sacks, but like 7 come in the non-conference? And I think that is where we got to, okay, maybe we would let the dice roll a little bit.
Let's get to some. This is a schedule week for us on 20 Questions on 20 Shows. The week after is going to be a lot of, which there is one question I want you to help me out with, but like last year was like receiving yards and touchdowns for Drawn Tibbs, how many sacks for whoever, things like that. But the questions, the 2 questions we've already answered. One of them is, what's the trap game on the schedule right now for the Cats?
I think that there is a pretty obvious trap game that I don't know if is getting talked about enough. I think that it's Colorado. Like you've just played KU and Houston and Arizona State. You're going on the road to Colorado. It's Halloween. It'll probably be the second of 2 back-to-back late-night kicks against a team that might not be very good, but I think will be scrappy and maybe win a few games that maybe they shouldn't. And then that next week you're playing Oklahoma State, who either is going to be really good or maybe just average. So like you could just kind of be looking forward to that Oklahoma State game, and maybe you come out and have a dud in Boulder. Like I think that's the easiest pick, because the only other one that like I have thought about would be like maybe Cincinnati, but I don't think that K-State's going to get sucked into looking ahead when that's the first conference game. And then I also thought about Iowa State, but like I think that that's even too late to be a trap game, because if K-State has the season that we all want them to, they're going to be focused because they need to win that game to maybe win a tiebreaker.
There is, and I mentioned this the other day, there's a lot with that Cincinnati game, and I did go Cincinnati because there's a lot that does check a box when it comes to, what is a trap game. Who isn't going to undervalue or think that Scott Satterfield is going to have a 6-win season at best. It is on the road, even though I'm not the biggest fan of picking home or road games as a trap game. But I think Cole also picked the Colorado
100%
game.
agreement for everything he said.
Absolutely right now, if Colorado turns out to be good, everybody is not thinking Colorado right now, or, not like a contender at the moment, if that makes sense. Now, when we get to Halloween night, will Colorado be, we'll be thinking differently about them? Potentially. Swing game. What's the game right now that could swing K-State's season in one direction or the other right now?
I think that the swing game is also, I don't think it's as obvious, because I think that there are so many teams on the schedule that are so similar. But I think that the answer choice is Houston, because I think that they're the best team right now on K-State's schedule. And if you could tell me that K-State wins that game, I would have a hard time thinking that K-State doesn't win at least 9 games. But if they lose that game, you kind of think that maybe they only win 7 at worst. Like you think maybe 7-5. But if they win that game, I could see 9, maybe even 10. I'll give you a little bit of a inside here of the two of the 3 losses I have picked for K-State so far are the game actually at Colorado and the game against Houston. And I think that if you could talk me into beating Houston, that 10 wins might even be on the table. I said 9 as kind of like a baseline. But like if they win that, I could see 10. But if they lose that, you kind of lose a little bit of the steam, because I think that K-State will get off to a good enough start that maybe not doesn't slow the momentum totally, but it causes you to think that, okay, maybe they lose the game at Arizona State, maybe they lose at Colorado, maybe they lose to TCU, maybe they lose to Arizona. Like, it causes some doubt moving forward, because that's going to be the best team of the first 4 that they play.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. The way K-State's schedule looks like a winnable, easy schedule right now. I promise you, as the season goes, it's not going to be that way. There's going to be a surprise. There's going to be a handful of teams that are better than projected. It's going to happen, I promise you. And the last question is the one we're answering today. K-State going 3-0 in non-conference play. Going to be any surprises at home in the first 3 weeks?
I would say 3-0 is the most likely outcome. I think that Nichols is probably the worst FCS team that K-State has played since the 2022, maybe even 2023 season, which would also put Nichols in like the contenders for like bottom 3 of the last 10 years, because K-State went on a stretch where it felt like every FCS team, you could at least talk yourself into maybe thinking, oh, this might be a little bit closer, because they were like the top 15. What I didn't realize was that 2021, K-State almost lost that game to, I believe it was Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois was number 8 in the FCS at that point. So like, yes. They're not playing a top FCS team. Washington State plays the Sunday before playing K-State. They play in the Apple Cup. That game feels like a letdown spot for Washington State, because they're going to be so amped up for week 1. And then Tulane, I am not a believer in what the new coach is. So like, I think that K-State goes 3-0.
Yeah, you and Tulane fans, you guys are right there. They're hoping for an SEC assistant, and they get a failure of a Southern Miss head coach, because they wanted somebody to kind of retain the current culture, from what I was told. But yes, I think most would agree with you. 3-0 in non-conference play. Hey, you mentioned the Southern Illinois game. I mean, that was a game. Kleiman was crying. Skyler got hurt, and Will Howard comes back in and just barely got it done. That was a tough one. That was a tough game to overcome. All right, we'll let you get out of here, Drew. Thank you for coming back to us 2 weeks in a row. We'll talk to you hopefully weeks from now as we're closer to the season beginning. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Drew Galloway from KSO joining us here on The Game. When we come back, we'll be joined by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, after these words.
By Heritage for the Blind. News Radio, KMAN, weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 95 with a heat index of 105, little to no wind with mostly sunny skies. Riley County in an extreme heat warning until Friday night at 7 in the evening. Partly cloudy with a low of 79 tonight. Tomorrow going to be blistering, a high of 100, heat index values as high as 108, winds gusting as high as 20 out of the south. Overnight low of 75 tomorrow, then 96 on Friday, and still going to be extremely hot on Saturday, high of 97.
Well, we are back on the game. Mitch Fortner and Cole Dutchendorf getting in contact with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, right now. Chiefs training camp continuing. They got their first preseason game coming up on Saturday with the Rams in town. We're ready to go with our next special guest, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, now joining us. Mitch, there was a question I want to ask you. It's a K-State question that we just didn't get to last week. Recently at Brad Seib and Eric Wolford in studio, we were talking some old K-State ball, especially 93. And we recently had a discussion about a swing game. Other than the Copper Bowl, was there a game prior to that really felt like a K-State football swing game, that it felt like K-State had finally arrived, or was the Copper Bowl the big one?
Oh, man. Well, the Oklahoma game, the Exodus chapter 14, Red Sea has been parted. Bill Moses Snyder said, "Let my people go," from 23 years of Sooner bondage. That's the one that jumps up and grabs you. The KU win that year was 10-9 on October the 9th. So it was 10-9 on 10-9. Nobody talks about that enough. But there were a lot of moments. But I really think the Oklahoma win, when Bill Moses Snyder did say, "Let my people go," not only set the tone for the rest of that year and getting the Copper Bowl victory over a good Wyoming team. Joe Tiller was the coach. But that set the tone really for the next 10 years. Because getting past Oklahoma and then Nebraska would be the second one in 98. But in 93, beating Oklahoma, I started quoting scripture and people thought I was speaking in tongues.
See, what reminds me about 93, there was some really underrated not wins. Because I remember the tie against Colorado got K-State ranked. And then the week before that was that, Brad Seib had a great game at Nebraska. I know it wasn't a win, but that was a pretty close game for a while in Lincoln. So I didn't know if that also really meant something at the time.
Well, the 91 game was even more dramatic. We should have won that game. Eric Gallen slips on a lead draw. We're going to go up 14 in the fourth quarter and going to win that game. And Tate Wright misses a chip shot field goal. They left it at 7. Nebraska come down to tie it. Then they take the lead, but then we get back and get defended at the pylon and a pass toward Russ Campbell. Now, 93 was Chad May was lighting it up. But Nebraska just couldn't stop Bill Snyder. Nebraska was kind of stuck in a 1980s defense, and Coach Snyder was actually ahead of his game. He was running a lot of the stuff that's run now. Nebraska just couldn't stop him. It's just K-State couldn't stop Nebraska. And so it was tennis. It was back and forth, and then finally Nebraska got 40-30 and basically 2 scores ahead, and that's the way it ended. But, yeah, it was very close. Yeah, it was an almost win. The Colorado game, look at that Colorado team. Those guys were loaded, man. I'd almost argue they were better than Nebraska. They had studs. I've talked to Eric Bieniemy about it so often about that group. And so, yeah, that 10-10 tie was way bigger than people think. But beating Oklahoma and Moses getting his people across the Red Sea was big.
Mitch, looking at training camp, got another update here thanks to K-State Credit Union. There is a French tabloid that has reported that right now Travis Kelce is in France on a honeymoon. Can you confirm or deny that Travis Kelce is on a honeymoon? And 2, is he in shape? People are also saying he's out of shape.
Well, then I just saw him. Would that be a virtual Travis Kelce I saw then near the cafeteria in the Union? Because that would be, I would dispel that rumor unless he evaporated somehow to France in the last, 90 minutes. Then I could pretty much poke a balloon in that one. I think he's in shape. I think he's in better shape this year than he was a year ago. He's just 36. If you watch Kels play, he's 36 years old. I think going to be 37 in October, and he's given it all he's got. He's not a spring chicken anymore. The Salvador Perez comparison, I think, is very, very real. But he's okay. He'll give us some stuff. But to say he's out of shape, I think, is presumptuous.
I saw a highlight of our Wildcat, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, doing a really good job off the left edge and making a really quick, fast play. It looks like his speed was looking really good there. Is his momentum continuing to trend in the right direction?
a couple of things have happened. We talked really when he was drafted. He broke his thumb that year against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, and then he just had a couple other injuries. He hasn't been healthy till this year. Now he feels healthy, he feels confident, and he's starting to look like the Felix we saw at K-State when he's Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Now, the other thing that happened, and this is a break for him, was Ashton Gelati had the hamstring issue. Now he's back, but Felix has gotten a lot more reps in this camp than he would have gotten had Gelati been up and running for basically week and a half, almost 2 weeks that Gelati missed. It has really helped Felix Enudike-Uzama. In talking with Joe Cullen, his position coach, he has echoed that, and Coach Reed's even inferred that. But I talked to Felix. I wanted you guys to get the lowdown, so I went and asked him just for you guys how this is going.
Okay, here we go. Felix, just feels like a new opportunity for you. Tell us how this camp's going so far and just how you're feeling.
It's feeling good, honestly. Just trusting in myself. Had a little ups and downs with this injury and stuff like that. Now I'm back healthy, so I'm full and ready to go. I can't wait.
The league was about opportunities, but it seems like now you're getting a great opportunity, a lot of first-team reps. Mm-hmm. What does that mean in your ability to lock something down?
Oh, for sure. I mean, how I view it, I don't look at it like one of the reps. I look at just getting better every day, doing exactly what I need to do from Spags and everybody else. And then from that, if I play full speed, everything will take apart. So just focus on the little things at first and not the big picture.
What's exciting is your room. Who's been added there, and the blend of you guys working together with the vets and the new guys. What are you seeing in that room and how explosive it can be?
Oh, these guys are phenomenal. We got a phenomenal edge, like R. Mason, he's a great bend. Peter Woods, very strong. He's very flexible and everything like that. And we just got a bunch of guys that want to learn and stuff like that. So it's a very good room, even with Chris and George leading it off. And we just basically coaching up the young guys and telling them how it is, how the Super Bowl winning team, how do we practice and everything like that. But it's been a roll. It's been good, honestly, and I'm excited for the season.
Finally, how fired are you up about the Cats? Colin Klein.
Man, hey, Cats all the way. I can't wait, man. I'm about to go to one of these games and support them. I can't wait. Go Cats, man.
You get to open the door one of these games?
Oh, we'll see. Hey, stay tuned. We'll see.
Open that door,
Yes,
FAU.
sir.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, for
Appreciate
sure.
it.
Love that.
There's rumors he may be opening the door for one of these games, boys. But
Well,
there aren't many players in K-State history that have Super Bowl rings. He's got one.
I mean, he's due. I would think also Kleiman, with retiring, he'll get a door here too. I'm sure. But yeah, Felix, maybe week one when the Chiefs aren't exactly playing quite yet, that'll be the time to do it. Cole, you want to go ahead?
I want to keep it right with Felix. Feels like it's a pretty couple of unproven guys. Ashton, you're depending on him for a lot of snaps, and then R. Mason, you have high hopes. But there's a lot of opportunity for Felix to truly make a mark on this defensive end room, right?
They have 8 guys on the front. They're all going to rotate. And Gelati's a key to the season, and they all can move around. In fact, Felix, and this is a good sign, has been getting some inside reps. He got them today. And so it's a little bit like, well, Spags just likes to move guys around. But Felix has bulked up a bit. But the fact you're going to see all 8 of these guys. And what it does then is allow Chris to play outside. Chris is going to play some on the outside shoulder of the tackle. You'll see some 5 and 7 techniques. Now, Chris Jones has got to be disciplined in that scheme. He can't loop around and let Justin Herbert run for a first down like Brazil. But you got dudes now that can rotate. And if you get that in the NFL, you got a real shot. R. Mason's a demon off the edge. The kid from Oklahoma, R. Mason Thomas, he looks like Nick Bonito. And then the skill set of Felix fits right in with a Gelati and George. And then you got Peter Woods and Kyrus Tonga in the middle. Tonga was the former New England Patriot. Peter Woods is the late first-round pick this year from Clemson. And then you got Chris. I mean, this has gone from a weakness or not enough guys in that room and just hanging on to where you've got an 8-man rotation that could be lethal. And Felix is right in the middle of that equation.
Now I want to go to a guy who had a bit of a tumultuous offseason. How does Rashi's knee look? Is it looking better? Is he picking up some more? How has he looked as camp has progressed?
Yeah, it's been okay. It's not the knee. I think it's just rust and reps. He wasn't here for OTAs and not for the mini camps. And in Coach Reed's system, it's you miss that, and it's hard to catch it up. So he's playing catch up. There was one drop he had today that was just on a slant. It wasn't a bubble or anything tricky. And so the knee looks fine. He's not having any swelling or, hey, let's take a session off and let's go one on, one off. There's been zero of that. It's just getting him reps and getting him back in a flow. When you look, guys, at what's happened the last 2 years, I was looking at this today. He's played 28 games and missed 23. But the last 2 years, you look at how many he's missed, 9 plus 13. He's missed 22 games out of a possible 34. So he's not only rusty from not the off season, he just hadn't played a ton of football the last 2 years since his rookie year in 23. So it's just time to kind of ramp him up, get him there, and have him be raring to go against Denver on the 14th of September.
Mitch, last thought here. First preseason game is Saturday, hosting the Rams at Arrowhead. Do we know how this thing is going to be scripted yet? And is there anything in particular you're really looking forward to seeing on the field there in Arrowhead for the first preseason game?
No and yes. We'll know more tomorrow, and I have a meeting with Coach tomorrow night. I'll know more, so that doesn't help you guys. But what I want to see, what's big, is the wide receiver room. We got to figure out kind of the bottom end of that wide receiver core. Andrew Armstrong had a great camp. Where's he at with Nico Remigio? Special teams have got to happen. Jalen Royals, that discussion, and who's going to emerge there. And then there's some younger guys that will play later that are worth the look. Maybe not to make the team, but who are you going to put on practice squad? Do you keep 6? Do you keep 7? 7 gets real clunky because you're going to rob someplace you need. The other area would be defensive back. They're 19 in camp, and they're stacked up at slot corner, like 4 of them. But you want to see some people emerge there. I like the secondary. I think they're more aggressive. They're going to punch the ball out, be a little nastier than even last year's group. But you want to see that on the field against the Rams team. They won't play their guys a whole lot, but that's a talented roster, kind of 1 through 90. So it'll be a pretty good test. Now, ask me about how I spent my Sunday.
How'd you spend your Sunday?
With the Cats.
Oh, did you go to practice?
Best day I've had. Oh, well, yeah, and I spoke to the team. So you'll watch this. Just watch. You'll see this. If it works, this will become a story throughout the year. I have never been, I'm trying to think the last time I was this fired up. And it's not what you think. There's so much more going on beyond what the just regular fan is thinking. Colin's back, and hey, that's cool, and let's go. Nope. And I love Coach Kleiman, but this is a transformation more than people know. And I'll just say this: the 2 years that Colin Klein had at Texas A&M were super impactful for him. K-State is way better off that Colin Klein spent 2 years at Texas A&M than K-Staters even know. I'm just going to leave it at that. We can talk more about it in the next couple of weeks. But I flew out of Manhattan. I could have flown back to St. Joseph. I was so excited to see what's going on with that program and the way they're approaching things that I'm super fired up about it, more than I thought I would be.
Did you do
more than meets the eye, boys? More than meets the eye.
Did you do the thing at the end of your speech? Did you walk straight out of the room?
Like drop the mic and go out?
Yeah.
No, too many dudes wanted to talk. There was a bunch of guys that came up and bro hugged, so I wanted to be there. And I'm so excited for Avery. He's not even the same person. But I mean that positively. He's just matured. He's ready to go, and he's fought his way and stayed and fought. He's earned all of us to follow him. But there's some other guys. They got to have to come together. There's work to do. But the infrastructure, K-State's approach, it's very similar to way back when in Moses Snyder in the late 80s, early 90s we were talking about, because that was transformational. The Cats had to redo thinking, had to redo their internal organization. They had to join the times. They actually were ahead of the times in that case. But right now, Colin Klein leading the way with the staff he has, and his personnel staff is outstanding. It is not a mistake that they're second in the Big 12 right now in the class of 27 in commitments. Now, there's just more here than meets the eye. I don't want to. They've got to win on the field. I got it. But if they start winning this stuff, you'll start to see it come out. And even what happened on Sunday, it was an awesome moment. I had tears in my eyes leaving there and was so excited about Kansas State football. that I just didn't think I got more out of it than I gave. That's what I felt like. And Colin is the right person on August the 12th, 2026, to be leading K-State football, more than K-Staters know, way more. And the dude is wicked smart. He's got great football acumen. We know about his approach, but to win in this day and age, his time at A&M helped him, I think, immeasurably. I think we'll see that manifested, if not this year, very soon.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you still have the passion for the Cats like you did back in like 1986.
More.
You know?
I got more now. I mean, I'm just telling you, it may be the same. I can't imagine being more passionate than I was. And, you know, I tell you this, I go back to games and I cry every time. I see Junior Wildcat Club. I started that. The Wildcat March from Sousa. I went to Bill, it was Brace. And, who's the band director? I just did retired.
Oh, Frank Trace. Yeah.
Frank Trace. So I went to Trace. I said, hey, there's a Sousa song. Coach John Sousa wrote a song for K-State. He goes, well, let's find it. Let's go. And then he kind of rearranged it, made it cool, and that's part of that great 20 minutes, which I think is one of the best in college football, from 20 minutes on the clock to kickoff. It's incredible in that stadium. It's emotional. It's America. It's Kansas State. It's perfect. But I'm as fired up now as I was when I saw Coach Snyder start to crank it up and take us from the bottom of the ocean. Colin has got an idea. He's got a vision. He's super smart. He's got the energy. He's got a staff with energy. He's got an infrastructure with energy and purpose and focus. And we just got to keep it going. Administration has got to be right behind him and have this figured out. But there's more reason for K-Staters to be excited than they even know. This isn't just Colin being the Heisman Trophy guy and running quarterback powers. This is a very, very smart head coach who's a CEO-level type leader. There's a lot of Coach Reed in that guy, even though he's young and Klein. But to win and to succeed in this day and age of college football, he now has things in place to do that. And a lot of it he learned at Texas A&M. And so I'm thrilled about it. He's a stud, Morris. He's a stud. He's a modern-day head football coach that's ready to take K-State and get it revved up.
We can talk more about it as well next week, Mitch. Talking a lot about Coach Klein, but sounded like I was hearing a pregame speech from a coach myself.
I'm telling you, boys, I went screaming out of there back to St. Joseph because I found out more than I even thought. And it's like, okay, these guys, let's just go. Let's go. Lock in and it's a great staff. That staff's got a lot of energy and some spit and vinegar to them. So let's just dig in and support these people any way we can.
All right, thanks, Mitch. We'll catch up again next week.
See you, boys.
Hour 2 the game is coming up next here on KMAN.
From lending options to treasury management services, KS State Bank provides innovative solutions to help your business succeed.
Quality and professionalism come first.
News Radio, KMAN, weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 93, wind out of the east at 7 miles an hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 79. Then tomorrow, another hot one, a high near 100. Heat index values as high as 108. Tomorrow night, a low around 75. Then Friday, partly sunny with a high near 96. More the same on Saturday, sunny and hot, a high near 97.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
PJ Glasser here to help you beat the books with Westwood One Sports. The top 25 preseason coaches poll is out in college football, and the defending national champion Indiana Hoosiers are the number 6 team in the country. IU is plus 900 to win it all, and even after losing Fernando Mendoza, I think they're worth the bet. It is a very real possibility Indiana could go back-to-back. I'm PJ Glasser. Bet smart and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled.
We need to see if Mitch Holthus can switch to like 5:45. We'll end the show on that. Got me pumped up.
I'm ready to go.
I'm trying to think of the last time I cried at a K-State game, if I ever have cried at a K-State game. I've always said, like, K-State, if they just make a national championship, I don't care if it's an actual game. Like, even if K-State track and field, when they win a national championship, am I going to cry? Absolutely. Anything K-State competing for a national championship, winning a national championship, just being there is going to be like a tear in my eye. Just witnessing that moment, it's a tearjerker. It want to be a great moment. Now, have I wanted to cry after a few moments? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's more anger than tears. I'll never forget running the board, sitting where you're sitting right now, 14 years ago, and it's the Baylor game, and how that just so unraveled and it just went wrong, and I am yelling. It's really, honestly, one of the last times I've really, truly been extremely pissed. I can't handle this. I can't watch. I mean, it's not just really what was on the line. I mean, that was a big part of it. But it was the last time I was just an unhinged, out-of-control sports fan. Like, I feel like that was if there was a consolation prize, I feel like I matured after that game as a sports fan.
That was like the cutoff. It was B and AB.
K-State, with what was on the line, there hasn't been a football game like that since.
Right, before Baylor and after Baylor type
where
of
it was
stakes.
That late in the year, you're 2 games away from playing for a national championship. I mean, those stakes were extremely high.
As high as it gets.
I mean, last couple of KU, well, not this past season, but the 2 previous KU games, have I wanted to do a little bit of what the hell's going on? Why isn't this a blowout? I mean, 2023 23, the game in Lawrence, where both teams were ranked, that was just, we knew that was going to be a tough game. But what was the big kicker there was Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean were both hurt, so here comes Cole Ballard, a true freshman who has to take his first start. I mean, I think we all kind of felt at that point, I was like, well, that's a big sigh of relief. I mean, this is going to be an easier game, and then it didn't turn out to necessarily be that way. K-State caught some monster breaks, and I wanted everybody to know that. We should not have won in that game. And I say we as K-State fans. I don't know if that was I told Colin that. I think it may have even been on air. I was like, that was so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's so cool, calm, and collected, though. Going back to his press conference, I mean, if there's anything that's going to be real Snyder-like is maybe just keeping a lot of details just close to the chest, just not really giving up a whole lot. Mention some names, great, compliment a guy or two, but try to leave things minimal. A lot of oars on the depth chart. That's fine, no big deal. Again, like with the defensive tackle thing, and I know that's the reason why you brought it up first on yesterday's show about what you wanted to talk about first. Kamari Burns was the only tackle that was mentioned, and then there was mention of a couple of players, Jordan Allen being one of them, and then Travis Bates. They're both what Colin said was cross-training. Travis Bates, not a concern. Jordan Allen mentioned there. All right. I mean, it's kind of whatever right now. I will never really freak out over a hole on the team until I see it with my own two eyes. I'm not going to freak out about it, or I used to be a big poster on social media when things weren't going well, and I'm sure like Mason. Do you see Mason both on the KSO show? Like, and even tweeted it out, like mentioned an old Facebook
that was
post
hilarious.
about Colin in 2011
Like, not
Eastern
sold
Kentucky
on this
game.
Colin dude.
I'm sure maybe not necessarily Colin. But, it's so easy to just attack the quarterback when things aren't going well. I mean, Avery took so much heat, and I try to say every week, he's not the problem, folks.
Correct.
He's not the problem. This is not on him, but, man, I was a pretty knee-jerk, crazy fan on social media for a long time, too. I was definitely one of those, that's for sure. Hey, let's get to 20 questions and 20 shows. I want to thank Mitch Holthus in hour number 1 and some of hour 2. Drew Galloway from KSO joining us to begin the show. 20 questions and 20 shows. We're answering 20 questions to, in our own way, preview the 2026 K-State football season. This whole week are schedule-related questions, and today's question is about the non-conference schedule. And we're talking about Nichols, we're talking about Washington State, and we're, of course, talking about Tulane, where the last time they were here was 4 years ago, and they won that game 17-10. And I remember, the storylines after that was Adrian is not throwing the ball down the field. He, on an option play, he just gets speared when he should have pitched the football. Did we get the right guy? And then he just absolutely lets it sling and gets a lot of rushing touchdowns against Oklahoma, and things are just fine. And Cats go on to win a Big 12 championship despite Adrian Martinez being a little bit injury prone. I want to break this down a little bit differently and just kind of go game by game, because I thought this would also be kind of a great opportunity to break down where these non-conference games are currently at, especially with the storylines of the opposing team. First game up is Nichols, September 5th. The Colonels of Nichols will be here for the first time since 2019 when Chris Kleiman opened up his tenure with the Wildcats. And here's a trivia question for you. Who is the first Cat to score a touchdown in the Chris Kleiman era?
I don't even have any good guess. I would just say Skylar Thompson, just because that was...
I mean, it's not a bad guess.
He scored a lot.
But, so that was the year. So, I mean, K-State, when Kleiman is taken over, there's no scholarship running back. So they, scrambled and, found some running backs, all transfers, and, they all scored touchdowns in the first half. But it was Harry Trotter that scored the first touchdown. And
would have never gotten that in a million years.
Yeah, Harry Trotter. He also was the first-string running back in the 2020 season, and then here comes... Hashtag my boy Deuce Vaughn.
Yep.
Nichols has lost 10 straight games on the road. They were 4-8 last year, 4-0 in conference home games, however. They're under second-year head coach Tommy Rybacki, entering his second year for the Colonels, where he was the former DC for Nichols for 9 seasons. They will have a returning quarterback in Ian Rodriguez. Last year, he didn't start the whole year, but he started the second half of the season. He went 3-2, 66% completion percentage, 916 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. But he's also a dual threat quarterback. He had a couple of rushing touchdowns, 252 yards on the ground. They were, just by doing some research here, they were more of an up-tempo offense when he was the quarterback. They do have a new offensive coordinator out of Western Kentucky, and it's expected with this OC, tempo is going to be a pretty big part of their offense. He is also a punter sometimes, so it's always fun when a quarterback's on the field and ends up punting the ball down the field. What also is a factor for Nichols that is standout players, they're returning and leading rusher in Shane Lee, who is the best running back in their conference, the Southland Conference, in yards after contact. He averaged 4.5 yards after contact per game. He ran for 636 yards and 8 touchdowns as a freshman last year. And it was a very end of the season loaded year for him. So he was getting more playing time. He was emerging as a running back, and he was really piling up the stats the last 3 or 4 games of last season. And then, their defense, I'll mention this about Nichols as well. Their head coach is a defensive guy who was the DC there for close to a decade. This is a team that can make you turn over the football. They had 15 interceptions last year. That was one of the best of the FCS ranks. They're going to throw a lot of blitzes, probably at K-State coming out of the gates. But also another factor here, this will not be their first game of the season. They have typically opened up their season week 0. They're going to be hosting Mississippi Valley State on Thursday, August 27th, and then 9 days later come to Manhattan and play K-State.
It's kind of a weird schedule quirk for them. Just throw this one in week 0 and give us the bye later in the season. I don't know.
Is this a week 1 win for the Cats?
I am going to step out on a limb here and say yes. I'm really fingers crossed that it is nothing like the FCS game last season. You would hope the defense is going to have a little bit more success. Of course, Nichols is not the kind of program that North Dakota is. Not to say that North Dakota is the powerhouse, not that game should have been as close as it was last year, but you get the point. Final score. I'm going to give a tribute to Nichols' name. I'm going to go 45-5. 5 cents for Nichols. I don't know how they're going to get those
a safety.
5 points. I don't know if it's going to be like a pick 6 on a 2-point conversion, so a pick 2. I don't know if it's going to be a safety. I don't know what it's going to be, but they're going to have 5 points.
K-State played, this is, what year? 2003? I have to look this up. They played UMass, and I think UMass got out to a 5-0 lead. Boy,
hilarious.
If anybody knows, correct me if I'm wrong, 785-537-1350. But K-State ended up winning that game like 50-5 or something like that. It ended up being a blowout, but I think it was UMass that scored 5 points. UMass or maybe McNeese. I don't know why McNeese also stands out. That seems like somebody K-State would have played in the early 2000s.
None of the scores are screaming 5 points ever scored because it's 37-7, 21-17, and 38-7.
Okay, what season are you looking at?
The 38-7 is 2003. Do you want me to do some more deep dives in that one?
It had to be 2002 then. It wasn't 04. That was That was Lafayette, Fresno State that year. And I seen something to 5 score.
63-13, 68-0, 48-3.
Maybe it's 2001, but anyway, yes, I'm going 49-10. Cats win. Obviously, this will be a significant difference in talent. I mean, I think this should absolutely be a game. Even though Nichols would make teams cough up the football with their defensive backs, they lost a lot of that talent from last year. So, as you can imagine, if you're that good, you'll probably be going somewhere else. So I got K-State winning by 39 points. Couldn't find it.
I'm still looking.
I swear to
furiously.
God that happened. It was early on in the year. It would have been a September game. I swear that happened. I'm not making this up, am I? We need to take a break anyway. You look that up. We'll take a break. We will preview Washington State and Tulane when we come back. Are these 2 more wins for the Wildcats in non-conference play? The game continues. 20 questions and 20 shows after this break on The Game. KMAN.
The arm on the bus pops out, said stop, flashing lights in your sights. The arm on the bus pops out, said stop, and sometimes takes your picture.
Red flashing lights and the stop arm mean stop.
The driver in the car is late for work, goes on past way too fast. The driver in the car is late for work, uh-oh, he got caught.
Avoid a costly fine and possibly deadly mistake.
The ticket's gonna cost $400, that's a lot. And it sucks, the ticket's gonna cost $400, and that's a chunk of change.
Obey school bus stop arms. Keep children safe.
What will you do when you see the sign? Will you stop and avoid a fine? What will you do when you see the sign? S-T-O-P, stop, stop!
Brought to you by the Kansas Highway Patrol.
I could tell you about the superb quality and distinctive designs offered at Tallgrass Windows and Doors, but what you really want to know is whether the morning sun will warm your bare feet in your new bedroom, or when you throw open the swinging door in your new dining room, will the outdoors burst in like a fragrant blessing? Will life take a pause as a glowing sunset turns your new living room to gold? Visit their showrooms in Wamego or Lawrence, or visit their website at tallgrasswindows.com. Tallgrass Windows, excellence without exception.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
WED One presents Today in Women's Sports. We'd like to salute American gymnast Hesley Rivera, who just captured her second straight all-around title at the U.S. Championships. She was in fourth place after the first night of competition, but she stormed back on Sunday to win in Phoenix. Rivera was only 16 when she was a member of the gold medal-winning Team USA at the 2024 Olympics. Now, 2 years later, she's joined a legendary group that includes Simone Biles and Nastia Liukin as repeat U.S. all-around champions.
I wasn't looking at the scores. I wasn't looking at the scoreboard. I was just focused on myself and my gymnastics and what I have to do. So it was actually like stress-free. I took all the pressure I could off myself because it's no fun when you're stressed or nervous. And I just wanted to be as loose as possible because that's how I do best.
Rivera is anticipated to lead Team USA at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. And the recent high school graduate is also committed to compete collegiately for LSU. With Today in Women's Sports, I'm Jody Jackson on Westwood.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
Knock, knock, Capital One Bank guy.
Wow, Charles Barkley?
I just moved into the neighborhood. Can I borrow some Wi-Fi?
Sure, Chuck. That's what the Capital One Cafe is here for, open 7 days a week.
Oh, can I use your ATM? My dog walker only takes cash.
Anything for a neighbor.
Can I try the catchphrase?
Sure, take it for a spin.
There's no fees and minimums on Capital One checking accounts.
Nice, Chuck. I'll take it from here. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Visit CapitalOne.com/bankguide for details. Capital One and a member FDIC.
I'm Cole Dutchendorf with a Game Sports update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. A member of the Chiefs' Super Bowl 54 winning roster will be heading home as defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah signed a one-year deal with Kansas City earlier this week. Ogbah had 32 tackles and 5.5 sacks for the Chiefs in the regular season in 2019 before missing their postseason run due to a torn pectoral. Ogbah then spent 5 seasons in Miami with the Dolphins before heading to the Jaguars last year. If he makes the roster, he'll be a needed depth piece at the defensive end position, where the Chiefs have just 3 players who have seen legitimate playing time in the NFL, one of whom is K-State's Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who missed all of last year with a hamstring injury. The Chiefs play their first of 3 preseason games on Saturday against the Rams. Kickoff at 3, pregame at 2. That'll be right here on K-Man. And the Royals will try to salvage their series against the Dodgers tonight when they face off in the series finale after dropping each of the first 2 games in the 3-game set by exactly 1 run. That included Los Angeles walking off the Royals last night on a Max Muncy RBI single in the 10th inning after the Royals failed to do anything in the top half of the inning. The Royals sit at 49-72 on the season. That's 13.5 games back of first in the AL Central. First pitch tonight at 9:10, pregame at 8:30 on News Radio KMAN.
Oh, God, in 18 days, the best bout machine, the cleaner, Kenny by God Omega walking down the aisle at Wembley Stadium, all in London, taking on an English boy in Will Ospreay. Going to the text line, the 98 Texas A&M Big 12 Championship. Her worst, most hurtful loss ever. Yeah. See, the thing is, though, I was maybe too young to really feel the sting of that. Because I would have been 8. And I wasn't, like, fully in on K-State sports yet. I was still kind of doing my own thing, you know? Being a kid, riding bikes around, you know. So, I mean, I would say for me, Baylor 2012, but I still remember the sting of that loss.
I've got such a random one. This is from 2023 when K-State went to Austin and lost in overtime to Texas after having second and goal at the 5.
Well,
at that point, they were still they'd only had one Big 12 loss at that point in the season to Oklahoma State.
What was the controversy when K-State should have won the game, right?
It was they got down to it was second and goal at the Texas 5, and it was they went for it on 4th and 5,
right?
And then the play just was shot as soon as the ball was snapped. He slipped a little bit. He was running around like crazy. It was just a rough final sequence of the game. Also, there was should they kick the field goal because they had the momentum because they had come back in the second half because Texas had blown this big lead. So it was like just kick and play for another overtime. That one sat with me for a little while.
Yeah, but I was trying to remember, was it like third down? I want to say didn't Will Howard mess up somewhere, or he missed the play, or he could have ran it in or something, or
maybe.
Man, again, it was something like that. It wasn't that long ago. We feel like we should remember. But what I was talking about earlier, there was a game where the team that lost only scored 5 points, but it was at the time the Troy State Trojans,
yes,
which we now know as the Troy Trojans, who were not here just a few years ago. But that final score was 41-5, and Troy did open up the game with a 5-0 lead, where they had a safety and then they got the ball and kicked a field goal, and that was the early points of the game. And then the Cats take over from there. It was 7-5 at the end of the first quarter.
Hilarious non-conference slate that year too. It was California the start of the year, and then it was Troy State and McNeese, and then I don't even remember the one. It was UMass after that,
which I believe would have been Aaron Rodgers, right? The quarterback of Cal at that time.
Yes, that sounds right.
K-State had an extra game on that schedule because of Cal. They still had 4 more non-conference games, so they had 5 non-conference games that year, which the 5th one was the upset loss to Marshall and Noel Roberson. So there's always a legit excuse why K-State lost a game like to Marshall.
Yep.
Noel Roberson.
Yeah, that's fair.
No
quarterback. What are you going to do?
Cats lose to Army. Well,
freak onside kick.
Yeah.
And freak kickoff return touchdown.
Yeah. What are we supposed to do?
It was out of our hands at that point.
All right, let's continue on 20 questions in 20 shows. We're previewing K-State's non-conference slate. We both had the Cats getting it done against Nichols on September 5th, the first strobe light show. I shouldn't say strobe light, LED light show, the purple lights, the whole gimmick. Family reunion, the stripe out. There's still tickets on sale. Let's go get those, K-State fans. I'm sure we'll be giving some away here in the near future. So game 2 is Washington State. Washington State's an interesting team. 7-6 last year. They're typically a bowl team, but of course they're in the newly remodeled, it was stripped down to the studs, and now it's a remodeled Pac-12 with everybody with a state on their name. But they won the famous Idaho Potato Bowl last year. But their head coach, Jimmy Rogers, is now at Iowa State. So they have themselves now a new head coach in Kirby Moore. He's just 35 years old. He is a young pup, but he is a Chris Peterson guy. Used to play football at Boise State under Chris Peterson. That's a pretty good coach to learn from. He comes over after being the OC at Mizzou, where they had some pretty good production last year for the Missouri Tigers. Now, last couple of years as OC, I should say. Now, what I will mention here is that Wazoo actually has a pretty interesting start to their season. And who the hell scheduled this? They'll have the Apple Cup before they play K-State. That's the rivalry matchup against Washington. They'll play that game in Seattle. It's not on Saturday. It's on Sunday, so one less day of rest. Then they come to Manhattan to play the Wildcats of Kansas State. So they're opening up with 2 games against power conference opponents on the road 6 days apart. That's some pretty bad scheduling, if you ask me.
Rough beginning to the year.
That's really bad. Really bad. Now, offensively, this is a Wazoo team that has about half of its production coming back from last year. No top 300 recruits from the transfer portal. They did pick up a portal quarterback that Wazoo fans, they really like, and Caden Pinnock, who last year he was really good. 3,200 yards passing, 32 touchdowns. He was a freshman All-American across the FCS. He finished second for the Jerry Rice Award, which goes to the top freshman at the FCS ranks. And he's not technically been announced as the starter, but it's probably going to be him for the Washington State Cougars. What they do also have coming back is a running back in Kirby Voorhees, he took over as a starter last year down the stretch, who previously played at South Dakota State. 576 yards, 138 carries, not a lot of yards per carry on that. The thing about last year for the Wazoo offense, it wasn't good. It was pretty trashy. I mean, in the 100s at the FBS rankings almost across the board. But they brought in an offensive coordinator in Matt Miller, who is the former head coach of Oregon State the last couple of years. But he was kind of bad at that. But Wazoo fans feel like him being now the OC, that's going to really pick up. They're going to be in the right direction offensively with their new pieces. I'll mention a wide receiver in Tony Freeman, who's a pretty solid comeback guy. I mean, he is their basically he's their Jerron Tibbs, 54 catches, 590 last year, and 3 touchdowns, basically exactly what Jerron Tibbs had last year. Now, defensively, Wazoo was 15th in the country in total defense. A lot of their stats was very solid. They have no starters back from last year. No starters back. They either went to Iowa State, they went to the NFL, or they went somewhere else. And I'm sorry, I got my coordinators mixed up. Matt Miller is not the former head coach from Oregon State. That's their defensive coordinator, in Trent Bray, who, as a defensive guy, is solid. As a head coach, just didn't go well. He was in actually also a pretty rough spot. There was hardly any money to use in NIL, and Oregon State really felt that. But defensively last year for Wazoo was really good. So things are going to calibrate. Offense is probably going to be better. They're going to be dual threat, especially if they go with the FCS kid. And defensively, probably not going to be as good as last year. So what do you think? Cats getting it done against Washington State?
Yeah, kind of with that in mind, I think probably Wazoo's going to do a little bit of damage on the offensive side, but I think the K-State offense is going to be able to have quite a bit of success to make this not the kind of game where you have to sweat it out, maybe even a late touchdown from Wazoo to make it 42-24, K-State on top.
Yeah, outside of the quarterback addition and Caden Pinnock, they didn't really add a whole lot of really standout pieces out of the transfer portal. Their schedule is really screwy.
Yeah,
I mean,
rough.
A lot of things really line up for K-State to get it done. K-State should absolutely be the more talented team in this one, but it could get interesting. There are some areas that, especially with the dual threat running game, a quarterback that can put up the passing yards, there is going to be some challenges for sure. But K-State should get it done. I have 38-17, Cats winning. And then here come the Tulane Green Wave on September 19th. They were in the college football playoff last year. They went 11-3. They lost in the first round to Ole Miss on the road in Oxford, 41-10. They, as in Tulane, have played for the American Championship. They have made it to the American Championship game each of the last 4 years. And they have won 2 out of the 4. In the last 4 years, Tulane with 2 years of Willie Fritz, the final 2 years of Willie Fritz, 2 years of Jim Summerall, who's now at Florida. 53-13 since that year of 2022 when they made it to the.
They've been really good, really consistent.
Cotton Bowl. They beat K-State. So I mentioned this not long ago. Tulane, honestly, as we stand right now, is still a pretty big mystery. So I texted a friend of the show in Gary Smith, who covers Tulane, and I just asked him, hit me up with some headlines, man. What is Tulane all about? The number one thing he mentioned right out of the gate was, we don't have a starting quarterback yet. But he gave me two names. Zion Chris Germillion, who is a former quarterback at Houston, who K-State saw 2 years ago, and then Caden Samanza, who is a former quarterback at Ball State. He was the freshman of the year in the MAC, but sat out last year because Jake Retzloff ended up transferring to Tulane and leading them to the college football playoff. Zion Chris is more of the dual threat guy. Samanza is more of a pocket passer. Right now, nobody has the lead. I mean, Zion Chris last year at Houston, after in 2024 being probably okay at best, he was 11 for 11 against K-State in the rain. He had a 41-yard rushing touchdown to beat K-State. It's probably the best he's looked in his career. 2025, he's recruited over. Here comes Connor Wegman. And Zion Chris takes a backseat to another quarterback because Houston found some NIL money. They had some guys they could pay. So things changed for the Houston Cougars under Willie Fritz. So Zion Chris ends up at Tulane. And then, of course, I mentioned about Caden Samanza. He is in for the running as well, but he is certainly a younger quarterback who, again, as mentioned, is the MAC Freshman of the Year back in 2024, whereas a freshman, 2,900 yards and 25 touchdowns. Pretty solid numbers. The second thing that Gary mentioned was the best position as in depth and talent should be the running backs. So, okay, skill position. But he says Jamari McCullough is going to be their starter. He says that talking to the Tulane media, they all feel like he could be at least. And this was like, are you sure about this? A 1,300-yard rusher this year. 1,300 yards.
Like at worst. That's what we're talking.
At least 1,300 yards. I was like, wow. Okay. Is there a reason? Because last year, again, a young running back, 540 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. And he mentioned that he is a jitterbug. He's fast. He's powerful. Like, he could be one of Tulane's best running backs ever. He's young. You know, he's got that potential. I was like, all right, that's interesting. What about defensively? The only thing he said about defense is linebacker could be a strength. That was it. So that's really what we got. I mean, that's about as deep as the research goes. I mean, right now, a lot of even Tulane previews are like, man, this is just such a new team. Here's the big issue, though. Here's maybe the biggest lingering issue right now for Tulane, and that's their head coach. They have a new head coach this year. They go from John Sumrall to Will Hall, who was coaching for John Sumrall last year at Tulane. That was his second stint at Tulane. Tulane did not want him as their head coach, as in the fans. Did not want Will Hall as their head coach. The reason he is their head coach is because Tulane was wanting familiarity. They wanted the same kind of culture. Somebody that had already been around with these two head coaches that they previously had. That's why he got the job. But Tulane fans were hearing that there was going to be SEC assistants applying for this job, wanting this job. LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama. They were wanting this Tulane job, but they didn't hire one of those assistants. They go with somebody who had previously coached at Southern Miss and has a record of 14-30.
Not great.
There are some big concerns for this new head coach. So what do you think? Is this a win for the Cats?
I think the one thing that's slightly concerning is probably the biggest concern I have for K-State's defense is, are they going to be able to defend the run? And especially when you look at the defensive line, the couple of guys they have on the edge aren't necessarily known for their run-stopping abilities. Defensive tackle is a mystery. Feel decent about the linebackers, but if Tulane's running backs are as good as our friend says that they are, then it could get a little hairy.
Gary.
But I still think K-State gets this one done 31-20.
Yeah, I was like 1,300 yards. They think he could just eat it up in the American. I mean, just roll up offensive numbers.
Hopefully he waits till after the K-State game to start rolling up some numbers.
Yeah, so, again, a difference in talent. When K-State's playing two first-year head coaches in the first three games, I'm going to absolutely bet on Colin Klein to have a team that's more ready to go. I mean, Tulane opens up with Duke. Duke is the defending ACC champs. They'll have South Alabama coming in. And, I mean, really the only factor for me is the only concern I have is these new uniforms that Tulane has rolled out that are Mardi Gras themed.
That is terrifying.
I love very much so. I'm like, if you guys want to wear the helmets and we have another great, uniform game.
Or all white for K-State, and they can just bring those Mardi Gras unis for week 2 and 3.
I'm not superstitious. Man, but the last time they wore the all whites
didn't go great against
in a
Tulane.
non-conference game. Well, no. That was not the. I'm thinking last year against North Dakota. I'm thinking about North Dakota.
Sure.
The Tulane game 4 years ago is when they wore the pennant Willie on one side and just the number of the player, the uniform number on the other side.
So what they need to do is go regular away jerseys. Just the entire jerseys just need to be the away jerseys. No different helmet, no different jerseys. Just silver pants and their away jersey. All good.
I think Tulane should wear the Mardi Gras helmet. Just keep everything traditional for the Cats. We don't need to be, trying to create some new juju.
Here you go. Anthracite, lavender accents. Week 3.
Just bust out the new uniform for Tulane. Whatever this is going to be.
Yes.
Roll the dice on that one.
Color on color, anthracite versus Mardi Gras. Who wins?
We're getting more texts in about. So we both pick K-State to beat Tulane.
Yes.
That's, again, with Tulane just being such a mystery, but I just can't help it. The last 2 meetings just kind of linger there. I don't think you count them out necessarily. Even if fans are down on their new head coach. I'll say 30, 35, 35-20. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I have no idea what that final score is going to be. That's the toughest one to predict. But 3-0, I think, who wouldn't really think K-State could go 3-0 with 3 home games, winnable non-conference games for sure. Not the toughest slate in the world. But we're getting more texts in about what's been like the biggest heartbreaker when it comes to a loss. 2010 Nebraska, the Taylor Martinez game. The heartbreaking thing, not only just Taylor Martinez doing what he did, it was leaving the stadium in the third quarter. I'd never left a game that early, and you could just hear the loudest "Go Big Red." I was like, oh, my God. And it was the last one before they left for the Big Ten. The last time Nebraska basketball played here, they got the Go Big Red going. That was a little bit crushing. The Auburn game in 2014, but to me, I wasn't heartbroken by that loss. I was pissed because K-State lost that game. They shot themselves in the foot. I mean, Jake Waters delivers from what I remember, a perfect pass to the end zone, and it just goes right off the chest of Tyler Lockett, pops right up in the air and gets intercepted in the end zone. That's kind of how it started. And then Anthony Quintel, I'll make sure I'm not mixing up my kickers. Anyway, I think it was Anthony, missed 3 straight field goals, and one of them was a chip shot, misses 3 field goals. So we have to bring in another kicker, and that was also an issue. Like, K-State beat themselves.
Tough to win games when you miss 3 field goals and hand a touchdown to a pick.
There is not one game that I can recall where I would phrase it up as K-State was probably the better team. They made their own mistakes. They shot themselves in the foot. They lost that game. Simple as that. I remember Auburn fans were like showing up on Tuesday. Like, they were parking on Tuesday to be here for the game. Like, they were making a week out of it.
We're here.
My uncle, the only time he ever called into the show, my Uncle Doug, he's like, I'm already seeing Alabama tags in town. I'm like, oh my, I'll be gosh darn. The Baylor game coming up for sure in 2012, more of the 98 the Big 12 championship game. I'm trying to think of what else would losing that Marshall game sucked. And then they lose 2 more in 2003 to Texas and Oklahoma State. I'm like, well, because I remember like College Game Day was saying K-State's going to play for a national championship. It's going to be K-State and Virginia playing for a national championship. And then we start 4-3. Still got to a Big 12 championship game somehow, some way, winning out, obviously. Had to beat Missouri in the last week to get there, for sure. Remember that Marshall game was a big problem. Well, and I'll also add on 2004 KU. Because that ended the first streak. But that was also, you still had Darren Sproles and you lose in Lawrence.
How long was that first streak? Give or take.
Well, let me think here. 10, 11?
Okay.
10, 11 games, I think.
So it had gotten up there.
Somebody reminded me that the Auburn game was on a Thursday. Oh, boy, do I remember that. I got a day off from work because it was on a Thursday. Other than setting up for when Power Cat Game Day was on a stage by where were we at that time? We weren't by the stage. I think we were in the south end of the west paved parking lot where nobody came by to hear it. We just had our own tailgate going, and that was about it. If you have any other heartbreaker games that you want to remind us of, text us 785-537-1350. We'll wrap up the show when we come back here on The Game.
Flint Hills Job Corps. Careers begin here.
KS State Bank, convenient banking for over 50 years. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Wildcat Fitness and Fun, our family providing your family with fitness and fun since 1992.
Come home to West Loop and Manhattan's West Side.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Evan Cohen.
In a stunning development, Ramona Shelburne on Wednesday reported that the Los Angeles Lakers are being sold to American businessman Josh Kushner and former Disney CEO Bob Iger for a record price of $12 billion plus. Why was it stunning? Well, because just about a year ago, in June of 2025, Mark Walter, who is most known as the owner of the LA Dodgers, had purchased controlling interest of the Los Angeles Lakers from the Buss family. We all sat here, me included, thinking that Mark Walter was going to take his Dodgers approach to the Lakers, really improve the team, the facilities around them, and grow the Lakers brand that is already one of the biggest brands in all of sports to an even bigger version of it. Well, I guess technically he did, because in about a year's time, he increased the sale price over $2 billion into his pockets. In 60 seconds, I'll tell you why LeBron James's decision-making could be retroactively tied to this move.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Less than 4 in 10 kids aged 6 through 12 are playing sports regularly. 4 in 10 kids? Let it sink in. Just 4 in 10 kids. ESPN is building a nationwide coalition powered by Disney called Take Back Sports, with the purpose of training more coaches, expanding access, and creating community-driven sports programming that puts kids and fun first. We're working on that story. We hope you'll join us.
Visit takebacksports.org to learn more.
When LeBron James announced earlier this summer that he was leaving the Los Angeles Lakers with the destination to be determined, many people, including me, were surprised. Not only because of the basketball reasons and the life reasons, his wife and kids, of course, based in LA, his son Bronny on the Lakers, but also from a business perspective. I incorrectly thought that maybe he wanted to tie himself to Mark Walter, the majority governor of the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, maybe LeBron knew something that we didn't. Maybe LeBron was aware of something that we were not aware of, which is that he didn't know who he was actually partnering with and working for. Maybe LeBron James knew that the Los Angeles Lakers were going to be sold the entire time and was looking at that franchise and saying, the future is uncertain. I need to go where someone is certain. The someone is Bob Myers running the Philadelphia 76ers. I wonder if the sale of the Lakers had anything to do with LeBron's departure. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Evan Cohen.
News Radio KMAN weather.
93 right now in Manhattan. Heat index all the way up at 106. That's thanks in part to a 58% humidity. Also a wind out of the east at 7 miles an hour. Raleigh County in an extreme heat warning through Friday at 7 o'clock. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 79. And tomorrow, high near 100, heat index values as high as 108, wind as high as 20 out of the south. Partly sunny and a high near 96 on Friday, high of 97 on Saturday. If you could press a button that would, for the rest of your life, give you the best parking spot available at wherever you're parking your car, how much money would you be willing to fork over for that?
Ask that again. I need to hear it one more time.
If you could press a button that gives you the best available parking spot at wherever you're at, whether it's Walmart or a K-State football game or an AEW wrestling event, how much money would you fork over for the ability to have the best parking spot for the rest of your life?
I don't know if that's the question. If you could just pay money, like, what would that be? I think the question is, where would that parking spot be? Now, I'm not a fan of paying money for a parking spot in general, other than, if it's a parking garage and it's an event or whatever, I get it. Or if, in Aggieville, whatever, for a couple bucks, that's not a big deal. But I'm trying to think of I'm
saying one-time flat fee for the rest of your life, the best parking spot is going to be yours guaranteed.
See, we live in a place that is parking really that tough to find? Because you already got to pay for a spot at a K-State game, right? Or, things like that. Honestly, I would love to have one of those parking spots that are right outside the Bill Snyder gate at the Bill.
Sure.
I would pay thousands of dollars for that.
I'm
sure that's what it costs.
My number wouldn't be a lot. I'm not opposed to just getting some steps in. Give it $3,000. I wouldn't pay that much money.
By the way, real quick, one other heartbreaker that I remember as a kid. Speaking of Auburn, but not the home game, it was the opener in 2007. When it was a low-scoring game. Jordy Nelson threw for the only touchdown K-State had in that game. But the Cats are driving. They're down 16-13, and then Josh Freeman gets nailed in the back, and he threw 57 passes in that game, but he got hit in the back, and he fumbles the ball, and it was a scoop and score for Auburn. I was so pissed with the offensive line for K-State after that game. If I remember right, the lineman that gave up that sack still lives here in town, so I won't mention him. Still love you. That's going to do it for the show. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Cats.